During the last 2 decades, the Russian Orthodox Church actively promotes conservative values and norms. Among many others, the most spectacular is the model of an ideal Russian Orthodox family. It is pictured as loving and deeply religious parents who got married young, both virgins before marriage, absolutely loyal to each other, surrounded by multiple happy and obedient children. A father with an epic beard is the head of the household, with an undisputable authority in practical and spiritual matters. And the mother is kind and still beautiful woman, despite multiple births and a headscarf. This is a very idyllic picture, yet there are certain historic and cultural problems with it. The church ideologues claim that this is how most Russians lived throughout history, and especially they emphasize in the 19th century, when Orthodox values allegedly peaked in Russia. The major problem with this model is its timing. First, after the church reforms of Peter the Great in the 18th century, the church was practically made a state department with a secular state official as its head. The first patriarch after Peter the Great was elected only after the last monarch, Nicholas II, abdicated in 1917. But this is not the main issue. The ideal model represents a nuclear family, meaning that only 2 generations, parents and children, live together in one household. A nuclear family became the norm in Russia only with industrialization, which came much later than in most of Europe, in the 20th and 30th of the 20th century, already in the Soviet time. Before that, the vast majority of the country lived in extended families with cousins, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, grandparents, and many other family members. The biggest social group was peasants. They needed many working hands in their household for survival. Other significant groups such as city and town dwellers engaged in crafts and other professions, priests, many of whom were quite poor and had to live off of land too, and even merchants and nobles lived in extended families, where those who did work, stayed on military service, provided for the rest of the family. Only in the Soviet time, when Lenin and especially Stalin started the intensive industrialization, there was a huge influx of rural people into cities, where they had more than modest housing and could only afford to live alone or with the closest relatives, such as a spouse who also worked, and children. Next, the idea of a multiple children family with 3 children or more also comes from the Soviet time, when this was exactly the number and exactly the status for the state-issued benefits and subsidies. Last but not least, the divorce rate in Russia is one of the highest in the world. Hence, such complete families with both parents are not as common. And there is even a common joke that responds to the anti-LGBT sentiments in the modern Russia and the essential role of a maternal grandmother, who often replaces a busy, passive, or simply absent father. It goes like this. What's the big deal with those same-sex families? Most of Russians were raised by a same-sex couple, a mother and a grandmother. Please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I see you all next time.